In my first video of this paperback slim journal series, I cut my cover first. It works great to guide the size of my pages. But I wasn't planning to have 3 signatures, so I need to make appropriate adjustments such that my pages won't come out too far out. These are the cover for my slim journal. It's originally one paperback, which I trimmed just before the handle, and then I cut these 2 edges, so I have one narrow sheet and one wider sheet. I originally planning to sew my signatures in the middle of these sheets, and I will fold it like this and then top it with this narrower sheet, so I will have 3-layer cover and it will be pretty thick. But with the third signature, I need to change that plan. And first, what I'm going to do is find the center of my widest cover, the widest sheet of the cover, and I'm just going to mark it. This will be where I'm going to sew my second signature, and I like to keep half an inch gap in between signatures, so I'm going to mark half an inch from it on both sides. This is where I'm going to sew my first signature and the third signature. Now that that's still, I can now take my widest page and I'll just align it on the third line here, and like this, and here. If I fold in the original fourth line of the paperback, the gazette, you see it's like poking out way too much than my preference, so I think that, but this fourth line is this poking out better. But I plan to put some laces on some pages, and I don't want it to pillow too much. So what I'm thinking, I'm going to fold just as wide or slightly wider than my widest page, just something like this. Then later, even if I have laces or whatnot, it will not poke up too far out than my preference. And with this is done, just fold it back on my center line and fold the other side just to make it a complete cover like this. If it is not perfectly aligned, I'm fine, because this is paperback. It's pretty hard to make sure that everything is perfectly square. So this will be my new cover width, and I'm going to keep this on the outside so I can see where I need to sew my signatures later. And this, the narrower sheet, I'm still going to use it to thicken up the cover. So I will put it around something like this. And I have these strips from cutting the paperback for my third signature. Just like originally the handle, the top handle of a paperback, and I'm going to use this to expand it, also to add this additional handle on my cover. I just really like how the handle looks with the cover. Just make it so cute. So I'm just going to trim this. This I will sew around the middle, around the center, like this, and this around the center as well. So this will be my new cover. I'm going to glue this and maybe sew this expansion paper, and then I will show you my next step. This is my inside cover so far. I glued and I stitched around the edges, and on the other side I kept this open. It doesn't bother me because this will be the side that I'm going to glue on my outside cover. And on the outside cover I also glued the flap, and then on the spine where I'm going to sew my signature, I made 5 marks. I decided to use 5 pamphlet stitches to sew my signatures into the cover because some of my pages are pretty short and some are pretty tall. So this 5 stitches pamphlet I hope will be enough for all the pages. In one of my previous journal, I made this kind of cover. I used a paper towel which I Mod Podge into the cardboard, and then I made it into this crinkly looking, and I really like how it looks. Since this is a sewing journal, I'm thinking of using sewing pattern instead of paper towel. And in one of my page, I glued the sewing pattern and then I Mod Podge it, and it looked really nice. So I think this will work. This will be a very messy job, so I protected my table surface with this cheap kitchen mat from dollar store. I also have my Mod Podge or decoupage glue sealer matte finish. I also have this dual-ended facial mask applicator from Dollar Tree, and the sewing pattern of course. And I'm just going to open this and I'm going to mix this a bit. I haven't used this Mod Podge for a while, so it's kind of spirited. Apply a very generous amount of the Mod Podge, and then just gonna put it here. Then just put my sewing pattern like that. I'm fine with it like coming over excess a little bit because I'm going to wrap it around the edges later. Just wrinkling it, and then put more as necessary, and that's basically how I'm going to do this cover. So this is basically what I was doing. I apply Mod Podge on the cover, put the sewing pattern down, and then wrinkle it to the way that I like it, and I also adjust it when it is necessary. And when I am done and happy with it, I'm applying Mod Podge on top of the sewing pattern to glue it on the cover and make sure that it stays. This sewing pattern is very thin. I tried to be gentle with it, but sometimes I was a little bit heavy-handed and tore my sewing pattern, and that's totally fine because I can just amend it with another sewing pattern. And here on this top corner, I don't have enough sewing pattern to cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this extra sewing pattern and then use it to cover up the torn at the mistake, as well as this bottom layer that I haven't covered yet. And that's totally fine. I don't think it's necessary to have sewing pattern that can cover the wool, the cover in one action, because after you wrinkle it you won't be able to tell. Just put it like this. it's still wet, but you cannot really tell that these are two pieces of sewing pattern. So I'm going to do the same thing with this bottom section here that I haven't covered. Just going to use this sewing pattern, or actually, let's see. No, yeah, I'm just going to use this sewing pattern to finish this cover. That's it. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to fold this excess sewing pattern into the other side like this. My outside cover is dried now. It looks shiny, and to me it looks like a leather. I really like how it turns out. And this part I did crumple the sewing pattern a little bit too much, but that's fine because I'm going to cover this front page with some collage or something. Yeah, I really like it. This turns out well. And the other side, I just tuck the excess pattern on the side, and I don't really bother much about it's not looking perfect, because later I'm going to put the other cover on top of it and sew around the edges. So yeah, this is pretty much done, and now I'm thinking to tie this with my pepper, because my pepper mostly are pink. So I'm thinking of maybe like dragging pink ink on this cover just to add some accent. And I don't have any pink ink pad actually, and these are all of the red ink that I have, and I just noticed this is pigment ink, so it's not going to work. So let's see which one I should use. I know I'm going to put some collage on this side, so it doesn't really matter if I put some color here and then I didn't like it. Oh wow, I quite like it. How about this one? Doesn't look much different to me. And this one, oh, this is too strong for me, so I think I will just use this pink one and just drag it lightly to add some pink color and to tie it to the digital that I'm using. And that's it. It looks better in my opinion. And again, later after I put my signatures, I'm just going to put some collage or some decoration here. And for the inside cover, I decided to put this fabric sample that I have in the middle of the cover. So this will be where I'm going to sew my signature in, and this fabric will add as an enforcement to the spine. So because this is paper and it might tear easily, and I keep this side open so it later can be used as a tuck spot if my recipient decided to. And this side, it looks a little bit ugly. I think I will just leave it like this, but we will see what will happen in the final result. But yeah, this is pretty much what my cover looks like so far. And on the next video, I'm just going to show you the final look of this journal. Thank you for watching. I hope all this process gives you inspiration to use your paper bags to make a journal. Happy crafting! Bye!